morning, everyone. You're listening to Author Talk with me, Amy, Russell, Valerie, and our lovely guest today is Candace. So you guys, fun facts about the weekend. One, I feel the need to tell you how bipolar of a state me and Valerie live in, because me and Valerie live about an hour and a half away from each other. I got 10 inches of rain yesterday. Yes. So my little bitty town that ain't got water and ocean by it was flooded. Okay. We were having trees knocked down, tornadoes, all kinds of stuff. Now, nothing like what Nebraska has experienced. And so I will say that all of my prayers and just good wishes go to everybody in Nebraska with that, what was it, EF5 that touched down, the first one in a really long time. Yeah. Just crazy times. But I don't know how much rain you got last night, Valerie, but we got 10 inches of rain from a span of like 7 to 4:30 this morning. So
no, not to that level. We did not get to that level. And I am so thankful because that, Houston, all it takes is you sneeze on it and it floods everywhere.
I know. But your drainage, it does dissipate pretty quickly, except for all your bayous and stuff. So it was pretty interesting. I do have a leaser for my house. So I have that one stress off of my plate. I will say I have been in a battle with electricians for my current build house. And we all know Amy is going to win one way or another. That's just the Amy personality. And so I am currently just trying to get 2 outlets in the front of my island, which they're saying are not in code anymore. So we'll see what else I get since I already paid for those. So we shall just see. It's an exciting journey.
By the way, that's just an excuse. That's really, they're lying to you. It's really something else. It's because they probably forgot to put them in, and now they're trying to have the excuse that it's not code.
I know. I believe you 100%, and I'm not afraid to call bluff. But I'm supposed to close between June 3rd and June 10th on my new house, which
congratulations.
A month or two ago, I showed some photos of it. So I'm supposed to do that. We'll see if that really happens. We currently don't have electricity to our house. We do have water, though, and the girls have made sure to test it because we go and check the house every day, which Josh makes fun of me, and I'm sure, Russell, you would too. But
that's a serious thing you need to do. Do not trust. It's the number one rule.
I go every single day, whether things have changed or not. 1, so they know that I'm there and I am checking. And 2, just because I want to make sure that things get done and upgrades that I've paid for actually get put in. Right. So I'm nervous when it comes to those things. So I can be very anal, which Russell knows. So that, in a nutshell, was my weekend, to kind of just summarize everything that's going on. Now I'm in the process of taking down bunk beds and play sets and trampolines and boxes and just acting like the fairy godmother that's happy, just shuffling boxes everywhere, right? That's
but you want your construction people to hate you. You want them to hate you because you want to be them to say, can we get this fire? Yeah, I don't want to hear it. Let's not try to get it.
I
want to be that guy.
I want to be the person that sticks to my guns, but I was nice. I wasn't effing by everybody out, though in my head I am. Okay, in my head, that is just going around. But I try to be very nice, but I have been on them about these outlets for at least 4 months. So I'm not...
I told you stuff like that would happen. I told you.
And I was ready for
Candace, you can't trust new construction. There's no trust. You have to supervise the supervisors.
I was ready for it, though.
Yes.
Because I even told them, I was like, look, at this point, it's the principle. I don't even care if I get them. It's the principle of the matter right now. Like, now I'm just mad. So, I try to be very nice and humorous about it. And I don't text on the weekends because I know what that's like. But they do very much know that Amy doesn't forget anything, and I notice everything. So, I'm their BFF that they're probably ready to get rid of, is the nice way to say it. I'm their temporary BFF that they're ready to get rid of.
Your house is going to be on time. They're not going to let anything be late for you.
Yeah. We'll see.
No, it's not going to be on time.
I don't know. Do they really want Amy hanging around? I don't think so.
I don't know. We shall see. I tend to be very nice. I will say I have become more aggressive with the construction workers on the other houses surrounding mine because they will park in my driveway. that makes me very angry. And especially when they do it with a trailer.
They hate you so much.
I will come and I will park
hate you.
so close to their trailer and get out, and I will look around. And you guys all know I have like, you know, resting unhappy face. We all know this. Okay.
Yeah, we've seen it on the show.
Yeah. So when I get out of the car and my kids want to go inside because nobody's there and I'm looking around, and I kid you not, they come and move their vehicle so I can park. So it's just, I have a very aggressive looking face, I guess, when I'm pissed and when I don't have makeup on. It's quite soft and pleasant now.
It's pretty scary when you don't have makeup on.
What, Amy?
The show last week was terrible.
Yeah, Amy, aren't you and I like 5'? I'm 5'2". Aren't you like 5'2" also?
No, she's like 4'9".
I'm like 5'1". I'm pretty sure. I'm shorter than you.
You're like,
yeah, and they don't want to mess with people like us. So I don't know. It's been a fun time. Okay, it truly has. It's been a really fun experience, and the builder has been wonderful. It's just some of their contractors I've had some problems with.
That's because, okay, I got to say this. This is a compliment. It sounds like a cut, but it's not.
Okay, all right.
They look at you, they see this pretty little housewife. They don't realize that you're a badass businesswoman, and because you don't look like it. You look nice and sweet. You're not.
Yeah.
And so they totally misjudge you. You know they do.
Yeah, no, for sure. The DR Horton guy did for sure. And I don't have anything positive to say about them for sure. But they did. I've never been, my builder has never treated me this way, but I will, contest what Russell said. I have only been treated one time in my life since being married to Josh as if we were lower than scum and couldn't afford what we were asking for. And that was from DR Horton. And I will never even consider anything like that again. I've never been treated like that. I don't wish to be treated like that again.
And so I don't get that.
Sad time.
I don't get that at all.
Yeah. It was just a crazy experience. And he preferred to talk to Josh over me. And then when he saw our car, he was all like, oh yeah, I have this, but I had the Denali version. I'm like, why? Like, I have all the same things that you have. You just paid for a name. And it was, it was just a really eye-opening experience, especially here in my small town. But I'm really happy with the builders that we went with. They've never treated us like that by any means. And they've tried, to bend over backwards to make us happy, which is, in a nutshell, happy Amy, right? Puppies and rainbows up in here. So that's how we tend to do. But I feel
Amy,
you guys.
Pause for a second. Amy, I was sub-teaching last week and I was trying to get the kids to behave. And I was like, guys, if everybody can just be really good, I swear it'll be puppies and rainbows. And they're like, what? And I said, this is the best thing ever, puppies and rainbows. And the kids were like, okay, Miss Sweeten. Okay.
Yes. I'm telling you, who doesn't love those things? Or kittens and rainbows, kittens and glitters, if you're a cat person.
But you know what? They connected. They connected really good.
Russell, why
even as a little boy, I was like,
Russell, why don't we talk about your weekend? Because I know both of you had pretty exciting weekends. Valerie was up here by me and didn't come and say hi. So we'll dive into that. But Russell,
you have 10 kids. No one's going to go see some kids.
Candace, I only have 2.
We've almost made Candace spit her coffee 3
I know.
times
Oh my God. Okay, I feel that
another coffee to compete with this conversation.
I know. But I feel the need to, Russell likes to do this. I only have 2 kids, okay? Russell likes to say that I have 10 because they are 13 months apart. He also likes to call me careless and reckless.
She's very careless.
But he has more children than I do.
I do.
Mine are just closer together than others. Yes. So that's the problem. I
have my first 2 are less than a year and a half apart, and it was
you're reckless too.
It's like they were different sizes, like one changed the other.
Yeah,
almost worse than twins because they were into different things. At least twins, you could kind of march them through.
No one's worse than twins. No one's worse than twins.
Well, Candace, mine are 11 months apart, so I can totally relate.
Awful too.
Yeah, it's kind of,
I'm surrounded by careless women.
Bad. I don't seem so bad right now. Mine are 13.
Yeah, you know what? It takes 2. It takes 2.
I know. Mine are Irish twins, so they're 13 months apart. So, Russell, you're just outnumbered. So why don't we dive into your weekend to kind of help you out a little bit?
I had the greatest week last week.
Yeah.
Now, I have a publisher, which is, by the way, a publishing company owned by Amy, Plum Creek Press. I wish that you had your little insignia to show us, but I didn't send it to you. And
My cool stuff.
yeah, I like that. And last week, she got the my second book is coming out next fall, and so we're reissuing my first book under a cover that'll go with the rest of the series.
Yeah.
And so here's my new cover of my book. I have 126 reviews, and we were able to keep those in our second edition. It has a new chapter in it, and actually a chapter that had been edited out by the other editors. It was actually the best chapter, I think, in the book. And I'm very excited about this. And next fall, Murder by Storm will be out. So I'm very excited about it. It was a great week. Thank you, Amy.
Yeah, you're welcome. In October. His book will be out in October. Come hell or high water is what I've determined. So it will be coming.
Don't say that. You had both hell and high water this week.
I did. I literally did. So I feel like I can say that because I've overcome that. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to rock with that. But Valerie, you were up here close to me, girlfriend. What did you do?
And, we were invited to a wine pairing dinner at Messina Hoff. They were doing their spring release wine. And I thought we got there just in time to go to the hotel, change our clothes. And guess what? David forgot his clothes at home.
That's funny.
And so thankfully we had like a few minutes. We ran to the men's warehouse and by the university, and they were so amazing. They even steamed the shirt for him. He changed in the thing, and we made it just like 10-15 minutes late, and we're like,
nice. So you were just fashionably late. That's all it was. You're just fashionably late.
With new clothes. He had new clothes, and I was like, usually it's me, but we were just kind of doing stuff and talking, and they were just sitting right there on the couch, right where we left them. So, but we had them. But I was thinking like we should go see Amy, and then like, oh my gosh, we're late. Oh my gosh, we're really late.
The thought of seeing Amy came into your mind. You went all the way to the university.
Yes,
that may or may not be true.
I know. That's why
it's 100% true.
May or may not.
Do you live closer to the university or outside the limits?
I live on the western side of town. So like going towards Caldwell off of 2818. Gotcha. Yeah.
But this was a beautiful vineyard. Beautiful vineyard, just beautiful. All the things they had there. It's so nice, multiple courses, great wine. Highly recommend it.
Well, talk about your hobby, Valerie. Talk about your new hobby.
So also, so my daughter started doing this, and it's sourdough bread. And okay, this is like a good one. I've had ones I've actually thrown away, but she gave me the starter, and I was like, I'll try it. It's she gave me the video, all this kind of stuff. And occasionally I get a good one. And this one was a good one. And I think I've just gotten the hang of it. Finally, it's taken me months. But
see, this is a beautiful art that you're doing here, Valerie.
Yeah. And you know what? Beautiful. It's not hard. It's not hard if you do it right.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. But it does look gorgeous. It's not.
Yeah, I made one last week, and we actually ate the whole thing, and I was like, okay, time for another one, because once you eat homemade bread like that, you don't. It's store-bought bread is like, it's not the same.
Afterwards, store-bought bread tastes like it has a chemical or metallic taste to it. It's weird.
It's so different.
And it's just different. A little bit. Little metallic.
And the texture is different, totally different.
Oh my goodness, you guys are wanting me to have bread, and I can't have bread.
Like
okay, so
don't have.
You can't have bread at all. Not really.
No. Yeah, no. It's the whole thing. It's just a whole thing. But Candace, what did you do this weekend?
We had sports hopscotch at my house. I've got 3 kids, and it's springtime here, so it's softball, soccer, and rugby. So it was just about running from one field to another. We have the complete opposite problem here. I live in Calgary at the base of the Rocky Mountains, and we can get snow. We got snow last week, and now it's all melted again. But it's so dry here. I went for a walk yesterday, and it was so windy, and there was actually tumbleweeds rolling down. It was like a Western. It was really cool. They were proper tumbleweeds, and they were so many of them. So it's a little bit worrying. We have a lot of fires in the mountains, and sometimes our summer is just socked in with smoke, like so much smoke. I don't know if you saw what happened in New York last year. That was all the fires that sort of faded down to the States. But we have so I think it's going to be a pretty dangerous dry summer for us, and pretty smoky. We go into smoke warnings and all that. So we hit the spring pretty hard and get the kids' sports out of the way. So that's where I would. But good thing my kids too are old enough now to drive themselves, so I don't have to go to everything. We just have to. It's more car management at this point.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Totally can relate. Totally relate.
So I want to thank everybody listening to us. We're top 10 independent book podcast in America. We can't believe it, and we thank people for listening to us. Most people don't listen to us while we're on live on Monday morning, but they listen to our podcast during the week as they're driving to work or they're working out. That's why our shows are 45 minutes, not a second longer, Amy. Because the average
I don't know what you're
workout,
talking about, Russell. That we've never gone over 45 minutes. I don't know what
unless
you're
Sandy's
talking about.
on. But that's the average workout, so people can listen to us. And we're real excited to have you today, Candace. Amy, where can people find us?
Yeah, so you can find us literally anywhere that you can look for a podcast. My go-to is Amazon Music, Apple, Google, Spotify, Good Pods. Off the top of my head, those are the ones that you can definitely go type in Author Talk. The crimson, red, and gold is ours because, like I say, every week I was selfish and picked the colors, and those are my favorite colors. This whole thing started with
They
Russell.
weren't selfish. It's made it much easier to locate because of what you did.
Oh, there you go.
I do good decisions sometimes. They're few and far
Like on
between,
my
but I
cover.
do good. I know that one's my favorite. I'm really glad that you liked it. But this whole thing started with Russell 8 years ago, coming up on 9, and the new year will be 9 years. And so if you want to watch us live, I am very animated, talk with my hands, control what comes out of my mouth, but not my facial expressions, in which Russell likes to point out. Me and Valerie are very similar in that sense. You can come on over to our Facebook group, any one of my social media channels, YouTube. You can watch us live. If you want to go and see where or how we started and where we are today, you can go over to our YouTube channel and watch every single one of our episodes from day one when we used to do it at Russell's place in Houston all the way to now. You can also listen to every episode too if you want to do that. We like engaging with you, so if you do choose to come on over and watch and engage with us, leave us a comment or question. We like to kind of get to hear from you guys and get your questions answered. But without further ado, Valerie, let's get Candace talking about her books.
I was looking forward to more construction stories.
Oh, I know. It's been a battle. Russell has really enjoyed having those stories for me to talk about for sure. But who knows? Maybe they'll dive back in. I'll get a text or something during the show, probably. So
Candace, tell us a little bit about yourself, because I feel like that leads, it's just such a giant path into your writing experience. So can you share a little bit about that, please?
Oh, sure. I'm born and raised on the East Coast, Montreal, and grew up speaking French very badly because I grew up in an English home. And then did the corporate thing for a very long time. I was very lucky to I've worked in the UK, I've worked in Brazil, I've worked in Canada, and I haven't worked in the States though, but yeah, so a long career of, suits and corporate outfits. And about 6 years ago, my kids were growing up really fast, and I just said, this isn't the kind of life I want, and made the bold move to quit. So I tried a couple of things. I consulted for a while. I'm also an executive coach, so I was doing that too. And I've always wanted to write a book, so that's where my journey started. But it started pretty slow because I thought this was going to be easier than it was, but it wasn't. It was a wonderful learning journey, very humbling. And yeah, just completely worth it. So it was great.
Oh, that sounds great. And so you dove in head first, writing your first book, and that sounds like it also came from some personal experiences. Can you share that?
Yeah. After I went, I did, I was lucky, went to university, got a job, and my mom had died at the end of just at the end of my last year in university. And I just kind of went into the work world, but I never really took the time to heal. I never really took the time to figure out what I wanted to do. She was sick for a very long time. And all those growing up years where you have a little bit of a toe dip in the water and figure out what you want. I was a caregiver, so I didn't really know myself. So I quit and left and backpacked around the world. And that's what this series is this journey that I took.
Which is very awesome. I have a whole series of questions to ask you, but I can't till after Valerie finishes about the books, because we'll go off on some weird tangent about hiking some mountain that I'm dying to ask you about.
Okay, good. Yeah.
So your first book, Finding Color, and also, I know it's a series. Do we have the same characters throughout the series? Or are we just going to meet the first one, and jump in and then just follow this person?
There's the main character who sort of does the journey through the whole book, and so it's all from their point of view in present tense, and my goal was so that the reader was able to take the journey too and experience all the highs and all the lows, and lots of lows, and lots of highs that come from doing this type of experience. And there's a couple of people that are constant, but no one person's in all of the books. Each book kind of hits a different geographical location, and there's sometimes where I'm on my own, and there's sometimes when I'm traveling with other people. So it depends on where it is.
And it looks like your first book, it takes place in Greece.
It starts in Greece, and that was the first trip I took. And then that was just a vacation. And then that was what kicked it all off. And then I packed it in and moved to England. And the first book mostly takes place in England, where I was just a complete and utter crazy person in terms of just culturally. Even in England, I messed up the words. I messed up, just the where to stand in terms of, taking the tube escalator down. I was on the wrong side. Like everything I could do wrong, I was doing wrong. And I had a job there, and it was the weirdest thing to work in a country like that when I had never worked anywhere but my home country. And even the work cultures were different, and what people wore, and just getting used to different words. And then I finally get on the road, and I travel through Scotland and Ireland, and then I take off for the big adventure and go to Russia. And this book ends in Russia, and then the second book picks up from there.
And I saw a little tagline. You said set in the 90s when the internet was scarce. So how does that affect your storyline?
I think it completely changes the storyline, because a lot of the struggles are around just getting around. Like we had one travel book, and that was it. And those babies were heavy, and they were weighing down your bag, but they were your lifeline. It was the only thing you knew, where to stay, what to see, and there was no pictures, so everything was a surprise. There was no Yelp reviews or 20 million pictures or someone's YouTube video of something. You got it when you got there. And the only thing I had ever seen on so many of the places was Indiana Jones movies and National Geographics. So by the time I got to the Middle East, I was like, Cairo is not like they said in Indiana Jones. I was so mad. So it took me a little bit of time to wrap my head around. I'm like, okay, Indiana Jones has a lot to answer for, because I thought things would be completely different here. So yeah, it was a lot of learning, and also just a connection with home was very rare. And people were just on the cusp of getting emails. I wouldn't check my email for weeks, and then I would have 20, and I'd be like, whoa, check me out. I got 20 emails in 2 weeks. Like, that was huge. Like,
yeah.
I miss those days, because now I'm getting like 2,000 a day. Okay. Exactly. I missed the 20 back in there, or like when AOL first was started and you had the little running man, you know, and you
Yeah.
hoped that your friend was online so you could talk to them. You
Mhm.
know, I'm telling you,
Mhm.
I miss those days. But see, okay, I'm gonna live vicariously through you. I always say this for Russell because he travels the world too. I'm not a traveler, so I do live through like Indiana Jones movies and people like you and Russell to have these experiences. And so to have that during the 90s, I was born in the 90s, so I always say it's the best time of life
I like
because
to
I
do this and make my wrinkles go away.
I cannot believe that Amy was born in the 90s. Can
I
she be
know.
that young?
It's
It
like a
just
soft
freaks
lens. I'm
me
gonna sit
out.
back from the camera.
I was
It's
born in 92, you guys. I'll be 32 this year.
that's
Yay!
nothing.
Oh, that's horrible.
I have a
Oh,
son
yeah.
her age.
Yeah. Yeah. And yet me and you are like best friends. Isn't that crazy?
That's
I love
because we
it.
think exactly the same. It's weird.
I truly like it. But no, when I read that, when Mickey, your publicist sent me your press release and it said, hilarious, based in the 90s, I was like, man, I miss the part of the 90s that I remember, right? Like I feel like the music was better in that time period, and not having the internet, right? To me, just we played outside more. We had to pass notes in class. We didn't
Yeah.
have texting. When we
Yep.
did get texting, we had T9, and so we didn't have to look to text because we knew what we were writing. Now you really got to look, and the phones just got bigger and all this crazy stuff, right? So I was so excited about it. Yes, Russell.
I got to ask a writer's question because she said something to Valerie that blew my mind, and I can't believe it. And I got to ask her about it.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Are your books in present tense?
Yes.
Are you a crazy man? That's like twice as hard.
I
I know.
love it.
It's very hard.
Why did you do that? It's so hard to do.
I know. Yeah, especially because my journals were in past tense. So I started by putting my journals in, and then I had to redo everything. I've been doing a lot of redoing. I just wanted you to take the journey, and I felt that in present tense you needed to have it so you could take the journey in present tense. That was
Did you have lots of editors argue with you?
No, nobody argued with me. I think it was no, it's funny. I read there's very rarely I read so much. I love reading, and there's hardly any books in present tense. And I thought, well, maybe I made a big mistake by doing this. But it's a different read. It's my biggest goal was I wanted to make this one book, but it turned out to be 5. But I just wanted you to take the trip. I want people to be like completely immersed in the time period, in the sort of the dirty, the nitty gritty, like pulling on the heavy backpack, trekking to the bus stop, standing there in the rain, and all the feelings that you have in terms of the interaction with the locals, to the food, to the crazy stuff that happens. And I just wanted people to experience it. It just felt better to me in the present tense.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's almost like a tad a bit of a memoir, maybe.
It is a memoir. It's based on, I know it reads like fiction, but it's based on my trip. So I have all like stacks and stacks of journals. Like Amy said, there wasn't much going on, so there was lots of time to write, and you weren't scrolling TikTok or scrolling the videos or anything like that. So a lot of times to reflect and a lot of times to write. And it was also quite healing as well, writing and capturing the moments. So the book is based on that. And then all of the interactions, they're all true. Everything happened. And there are good stuff and bad stuff and cringy stuff. And my goal is for everyone to be like, laugh. I've had people tell me they laugh out loud. I have people tell me that they cry. I have people tell me that that's how they feel. I deal with a lot of emotions too along the way. So yeah, it's got everything.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Because when you were saying all that, it reminded me of Cheryl Strayed's book, Wild.
Mm-hmm.
And then because I think that might have been written in first person as well, just, just present tense, and just kind of going from there. And you really get a feel for the characters, and it engrosses you in the story.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like. So, and then it says your new book coming out very soon, Life Strikes Back, is set in Russia, or it starts in Russia?
It starts in Russia. Yeah, that starts on a train just on the border to Estonia. And then it goes through the Baltics and Poland, Croatia, Hungary, and Czech Republic.
So what part of Russia?
Russia, well, back then, and I'm not sure if it's different now, you needed invitations to go to Russia. So we only had invitations from St. Petersburg and Moscow. I really wanted to go further out, but we couldn't. So we could only go to the places where we had official invitations to stay. So it's just St. Petersburg and Moscow. But crazy, like it was our first stop as well. And Moscow is just so big. Like I had lived in London. I, lived in London for ages, but Moscow's just bigger. It's just heavier.
Did you take the train from St. Petersburg to Moscow?
Mm-hmm. Pardon me?
Did you take the train from St. Petersburg to Moscow?
Yes, there's a chapter on that. We got stuck. We met some guys from Sri Lanka who actually spoke English and Russian. So they bargained for our train tickets at the train station. So we got put on the locals train. People brought like chickens and like big things and like super husky dogs, and it was full of people. And we got so many stares because we were, what are you doing on this train? You shouldn't be here. And it was completely crazy. So yeah, and that night train, it was all open. And so yes, we did take night trains, and we did stay in crazy places and meet lots of interesting Russian folks. So
see,
yeah.
But I feel like back in the 90s. Now, okay, remember, I was born in 92, so it's not like I know a whole lot about them, but I'd like to think I do. At least, late 90s, early 2000s, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like to do those kinds of, travels abroad and backpacking and stuff was less scary at that time than it probably is now. I would say, like, I know now you have like maps and you have videos and all of that, but I just mean in terms of like craziness in the world, I feel like it was, I don't know, I like to think it was less dangerous at that time than it is today, but I don't really know because I don't backpack. I only made it 11 miles on a hike back.
Can I argue the opposite, Amy? I think
yes,
I know you're so shocked. I think Candace is a courageous traveler. And I think courageous travelers are those people that will do what she did anytime. There are people like her that are younger, probably with less mortgage payments, that are doing it right now. There's just a whole breed of special travelers like Candace, if she did these things. And that's why I'm so excited. I want to read your books because you and I, we're like spirits of the same soul almost.
Yeah.
Courageous travelers create events. It's like I went to Istanbul during Ramadan. It's a thing, right? So I just, I'm so excited to read your books. I wish that you were able to go to more of Russia so we could get more of it in the book. Yes. And I think that chapter on riding the train must be spectacular.
Yeah. There's lots of those interactions. And, I think in terms of danger, I guess it's what your definition of danger is. Like, is your definition of danger like a political landscape? Or is your definition of danger in terms of, I think one of the things I didn't truly appreciate until I started writing again was the treatment of women at that time. It was just something that was done, in book 2, there's a line that I didn't even realize that it just kind of came out, was the one constant we had in every country we went to was the constant harassment and the treatment of women, and how locals were just, hey, they're foreigners, let's just do whatever we need to. And so maybe that's still there, I don't know, but the interactions were constantly difficult from that perspective as traveling as a woman. And maybe you're not, when you're backpacking, you're kind of under the radar. Like, although you have a big backpack on your back and you're kind of like obvious, but it's not like we're going to the expensive places, or we're just kind of sliding in the background and doing things as cheap as we can on the bus and in the corner. And, it's not, you're not in anyone's face. So I wonder if that brings a different level to that kind of traveling too. You're not as, but you are still vulnerable to all of the environmental, being the locals, the treatment, the sort of the places that you stay at, and just getting around and dealing with the culture and trying not to make too many cultural mistakes.
Yeah, I think that's the thing now that I would consider. I mean, you can take my opinion lightly because I'm not a world traveler by any means. But I think those are things just from stories that I hear of my friends that have done it, within the last 5 to 7 years, have like gone overseas and done things like that. It's better than that, but it still is very much like, maybe it's an American thing, but we're still not liked overseas, which would just scare me, I guess, in that sense. And being a woman, I watch too many like Taken and those kinds of movies to ever do these things, and so I live through all of you guys because I just watched too many of those to do it. So that's my whole thought process behind it. And I'm only 5 foot, and I may scare construction people, but I don't think other people I would scare. So
well, I'm 5'10" and I still had problems. So I don't know if height has much to do with it other than just being vulnerable. And I think that was one of the lessons I learned, especially in book 2, was, you feel this sort of invincibility, you get around and you're moving from place to place adequately. I'm going to say adequately because we didn't do great. But there is moments of extreme vulnerability where you don't realize just how unsafe you could be.
Yeah.
Don't you think that happens to all travelers that have any appetite for seeing the local culture? I mean,
I think so.
there are several times I do not travel the way you did, but I still had moments where I realized, geez, I've overexposed myself.
Yes.
I'm not in the right part of town.
Yes.
Everyone's coming. We were lost in Shanghai, China, a friend and I one time, and we were walking through a neighborhood and everyone was coming out of all the bars and restaurants to see us walk by because they had never seen 2 white people walk through that neighborhood. It was like we were in a parade.
Yeah.
I knew at that moment, I really shouldn't be in this neighborhood.
Hey, that would scare the hell out of me. Like, that would scare the hell out of me, where I would be like, oh my God, I need to get out of here. Like the yippee Amy, would just be like, well, no. I would live in fear of those moments, and Josh would be making fun of me, and I would have been like, I need to just get to a really populated area and just no, so I'm not envious, but I am jealous that you guys go and have those experiences, but not enough to do it myself. I am jealous that you have experienced more life, but not enough for me to do it. But I like reading books about it, especially when they have humor in it and it takes place and it's more and like an era that I thoroughly love and enjoy. I do love this because I like it because then you can kind of see how times have changed in different aspects and stuff of it, and it kind of makes you appreciate when things weren't, in my opinion, they were less complicated than they are today.
Yeah. I was very specific to stick to the time period. I even went and at one point we were on our way to Auschwitz and I got a coffee. I know it's a horrible introduction to Auschwitz, but and I got a coffee from Dunkin' Donuts, but I went and Googled to see what the coffee cups were like, and they were styrofoam. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So yes, here I am drinking my styrofoam cup, but just trying to stay quite true to the time period. Even songs, music, the types of things that were offered, the types of foods, the types of everything there. A lot of phone booths, that kind of thing.
I know. I miss phone booths. I saw the phone booth movie that Colin Firth was in, and I think that's like the only, my kids are never going to know what a phone booth is. And I remember phone booths. and the phones that had the cords, and you would walk around to like another room so no one else would hear your conversation, and you hoped that nobody was on the computer or picked up the phone while you were on the phone. Now that everybody has their own phones, none of those things matter. I miss those times. They were simpler. And I do miss those for sure. Russell, you unmuted.
Well, I was laughing because Candace, she has like 16 sisters. So it was really hard for Amy to find some place to hide that one of her sisters wouldn't hear talk on the phone.
Okay, yet again, I have 3 older sisters. I am the baby. I don't have 16. I have 3 for one. Okay. Oh, goodness. This is just... Anyways, that's how it went. But yes, I do have older siblings and things like that. But yes, I want to kind of dive into, right, what made you want to write about this experience, and how did it turn in from 1 book to 4 or 5? How did that kind of come about for you?
Yeah, I think, as someone told me, and I actually have it in book 1, if you have a story inside you, it's your obligation to get it out. I always wanted to share this. I just felt that, although traveling wasn't unique because a lot of people had done it, I think what was unique about my trip was that I wrote it all down pretty well, and that I have a pretty good memory, and some really funny things happened. So what I wanted to do was to share the adventure and the story with people who've done it, people who didn't do it, and people who are thinking of doing it. So to me, it's for those types of audiences, someone who just wants to take a trip. My goal, like I said, was to have it in 1 book, but by the time I started writing it, and to be able to have the reader have the experience, truly experience everything, there wasn't enough space in 1 book. So I had to kind of parse it out, and I had 3, and then I had 4, and then I had 5. And I think for me, the main thing was it's not a travel guide. So, it's not about, but I need you to experience it. So I have to dump you in as quickly as possible in 5 or 6 lines. You have to know where you are, the feeling of what it's like to be there in Red Square, or at the pyramids, taking the camel, or, sitting, doing a safari in Africa, or, climbing Table Mountain. Those are all things that are in all the books. And I need to be able to dump you into the scene and get you sort of like, okay, I know where I am, because there's so much movement. And I think that was where I didn't want to leak into travel guide world, but I do need you to know enough about where you are, and then sort of experience the getting to and from, and what it was like to be there, and then the people that you meet, because the people that you meet are half of the adventure. Some crazy people, and some really nice people, and some really weird people that you're like, oh my God, I can't believe we're running into this person again. Or, I wish we would run into that person, and we don't. So
I love that you're able to, put this whole personal perspective on it too, because you've experienced it. And then that's a one-of-a-kind story that no one else can tell, so that's so insightful, I'm sure, for the reader. And the fact that you wrote it all down, so it's so true to the fact.
Yes.
That's gotta be great to read it.
Yes.
And where can we find your books?
Right now they're on Amazon, so you can find them on Amazon. And book 2 comes out tomorrow. Book 1's available now, and then book 2 is available as tomorrow. Boop.
That's so exciting! I'm so happy for you.
It's exciting when a new book comes out, and especially when it's turned into a series. So it is very exciting. Russell, you unmuted.
I did. A truck was coming up the side of the mountain. I had to move for a while.
I got it.
So, the next book that's coming out, what countries does it cover?
That's the one that goes from the train in Russia to all through the Baltics, Poland, Croatia, Hungary, and Czech Republic.
It's good that you wrote it in present tense at the time. A lot of things are different now. Like the Czech Republic wasn't the Czech Republic then, right? It was Czechoslovakia.
It was the Czech Republic then. Yeah.
Oh, it was? That's what.
Yeah. It was very new, though. I talk about, we went on a tour with a tour guide, and he was talking about, a matter of 10 years where it was under, communist rule. So it was a time of transition for it, for sure. It's a very different place. And Croatia, for example, it was before Game of Thrones, so nobody knew about Croatia. So it was hardly anybody there. And except Italians, loads of Italians, they all love Croatia.
And Germans. Lots of Germans everywhere.
You know what? I got pulled over by a policeman and he did ask me if I spoke German, and I didn't, and he got very angry. But anyways, that's in the book too. It's pretty fun. But
I want to hear more about that story.
Oh my goodness. I can only just imagine. I would just, my personality, I'd be freaking out. But to stay true to Russell's statement of not going over, because we all get an evil eye from Russell if we go over, let's do last minute questions, comments, statements. Valerie, I'm going to kick it to you. And then Russell, you can close us out.
Yes, Candace, I love anything like this just in general, because I love that personal experience, and just diving into seeing this through your eyes would probably be just fascinating to read. So I'm excited for you. I'm excited to, get a chance to read something like that, because I know I've never, hadn't been the chance to go to Russia or anything, but just, living vicariously, like Amy says, that would be amazing. So congratulations.
Good. Well, thank you. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know. I love feedback. Let me know.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Russell.
Do you have a web page people can go to
Yes,
check out?
CandaceMacPhie.com. So everything's on there. Pictures from the trip. I've got Spotify playlists. I've got links to the books, everything.
Excellent.
Nice. I'm going to go check that out for your Spotify playlist, because that just sounds epic. But Candace, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your morning, mid-afternoon to come and hang out with us and to talk about your books, and for writing these books. I'm thoroughly excited to read them. I cannot wait for book 2 to come out tomorrow. That's exciting. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks. Thanks very much for having me. It was lovely being part of the team. Thanks.
Absolutely. Well, you guys, we hope you all have a fantastic Monday, a great rest of your week. And until next Monday, everybody, bye for now.
Bye.